I got fired for betraying my company's trust. But here's the twist. I was interviewing for my dream job on my scheduled day off, and my boss had been secretly planning to fire me anyway. This is how I turned the tables and got the last laugh. My name is Nolan, and 3 years ago, I thought I'd found my place at TechFlow Solutions. I was 25 then, fresh out of college, eyes full of ambition and a head buzzing with big ideas about changing the world through code. Derek Chen, my manager, had this way of making you feel special during the interview. "We're not just colleagues here, Nolan," he'd said, leaning back in his chair with that practiced smile. "We're family, and family looks out for each other." What a load of garbage that turned out to be. For 3 years, I poured my soul into that company. 60-hour weeks became my norm. While my friends were out living their lives, I was debugging code at midnight, missing birthdays, skipping vacations. Every project I touched succeeded. Every deadline I met ahead of schedule. My performance reviews? Glowing. But promotions? Empty promises that vanished like morning mist. Derek had this infuriating habit of hovering over my shoulder, breathing down my neck as I worked. "Nolan, are you sure that's the most efficient approach?" he'd ask, knowing damn well I'd already optimized the code 3 times. The worst part? He'd take credit for my innovations during client presentations, standing there in his pressed suit, gesturing at my work like he'd coded it himself. The office culture was suffocating. Derek ran department meetings like interrogations. If someone dared suggest an improvement, he'd shut them down with cutting remarks disguised as constructive feedback. I watched colleagues, talented developers, quit one by one, their spirits crushed under his micromanagement. But I stayed. Why? Because I'm stubborn, and I needed this job now more than ever. 2 months ago, I'd gotten down on one knee in Central Park and asked Sarah to marry me. When she said yes, everything changed. Suddenly, stability mattered more than dreams. I couldn't just chase my passions anymore. I had responsibilities, a future to build. Sarah deserved better than a boyfriend scrambling for freelance gigs. But then, life threw me a curveball. It was a Tuesday morning when my phone buzzed with an email that made my heart skip. The subject line read, "Opportunity at Neuralink Innovations." I nearly dropped my coffee. Neuralink, the startup that was revolutionizing AI development, the company every developer in the city dreamed of joining. They'd seen my GitHub projects, been tracking my work, and wanted to interview me for their senior developer position, with equity options. I stared at that email for 10 minutes, hands trembling. This was it, my shot at the big leagues, at working with cutting-edge technology instead of maintaining Derek's outdated legacy systems. But there was a catch. They could only interview that Friday, my scheduled day off. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd been begging Derek for a promotion for 2 years. "Show us more initiative," he'd say. "Prove you're ready for the next level." Well, here was the ultimate initiative, the chance to leap several levels ahead. I scheduled the interview, meticulously planning every detail. I'd take Friday off, officially, interview in the morning, and Derek would never know. What could go wrong? I should have known that in Derek's world, loyalty was a one-way street. I should have remembered that family doesn't spy on family, doesn't sabotage each other's dreams. But I was naive enough to believe that what I did on my own time was my business. God, was I wrong? Monday morning arrived like a death sentence. I walked into the office feeling lighter than I had in years. The interview had gone perfectly. Neuralink's CTO had been impressed with my portfolio, my passion projects, my vision for AI development. They'd promised a decision by Wednesday. For the first time in months, I actually smiled as I swiped my badge and headed to my desk. But Derek was waiting for me, arms crossed, face thunderous. "My office, now." The walk across the open floor felt like a perp walk. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, sense the whispered conversations dying as I passed. My stomach churned as I followed Derek into his glass-walled office, watching him close the door with deliberate slowness. "Sit down, Nolan." His voice was ice-cold, a tone I'd never heard before. "Derek, if this is about the Johnson project, It's not about the project." He pulled out his phone, swiped to LinkedIn, and slammed it on the desk. My heart stopped. There it was. My profile, active just Friday morning. "Care to explain why you were open to work on your supposed sick day?" My mouth went dry. I wasn't sick. I took the day off. To betray your company." He slammed his fist on the desk so hard his coffee mug jumped. 3 years, Nolan. 3 years I invested in you, mentored you, trusted you with our biggest clients? And this is how you repay me? By shopping yourself around to our competitors? Neuralink isn't a competitor. Don't you dare lie to me. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know what you've been up to? Derek's face was purple with rage. "You scheduled that interview thinking you were so clever, so sneaky. But I see everything, Nolan. Every LinkedIn update, every resume upload, every backstabbing move you make." The violation hit me like a physical blow. He'd been monitoring my social media, my personal accounts. "You've been spying on me? I protect this company from disloyal employees like you." Derek stood up, looming over my chair. "You want to know the truth? You're not half as valuable as you think you are. Your code is messy, your attitude is toxic, and frankly, we've been looking for an excuse to clean house." That's when my world shattered completely. Looking for an excuse? Derek's smile was cruel, satisfied. "Did you really think we'd keep you forever? The board's been pressuring me to cut costs. I've just been waiting for the right moment to justify it. Thank you for handing me that moment on a silver platter." Rage exploded through my chest. 3 years of my life, of overtime, of loyalty, of believing his lies about family and advancement. All of it had been a setup. I stood up so fast my chair rolled backward and hit the wall. "You son of a—" "Security will escort you out. Your access is already revoked. You can't do this. I haven't violated any policies. What I do on my own time shows a fundamental lack of loyalty to this organization. You're terminated, effective immediately. No severance, no references. Try explaining that gap in your resume to your next employer." The room spun. My fiancé's face flashed in my mind. Our wedding plans, our future, everything we'd built on the foundation of this job. "Derek, you can't? Please? I need this job. Sarah and I should have thought of that before you decided to stab me in the back." He opened the door. "Security!" That's when everything went red. 3 years of swallowed insults, stolen credit, and broken promises erupted in a moment of pure fury. My hand moved before my brain could stop it. Crack! My open palm connected with Derek's face so hard the sound echoed through the office. His head snapped to the side, and for a moment everything went silent. The entire floor had seen it through his glass walls. 30 pairs of eyes stared in shock as Derek touched his reddening cheek, his expression transforming from surprise to vicious satisfaction. "Assault," he whispered, then louder. "You just assaulted me." Everyone saw it. Security arrived within seconds. 2 guards I'd known for years, now looking at me like I was a dangerous criminal. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding. I'd never hit anyone in my life, never lost control like that. But seeing Derek's smug face, knowing he'd planned this betrayal for weeks, maybe months, something primal had snapped. "Get him out of here," Derek ordered, straightening his tie like nothing had happened. "And call legal. I want him charged with assault." As they escorted me past my desk, past my colleagues' shocked faces, Derek called out one last time, "Oh, and Nolan? I'll make sure every company in this city knows exactly what kind of employee you really are. Good luck with that interview." The elevator doors closed on his triumphant smile, and I realized this wasn't just about losing a job. Derek had orchestrated this entire thing. He'd found the perfect excuse to destroy me completely, to burn my bridges and salt the earth behind him. But what Derek didn't know, what he couldn't possibly know, was that he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life. Sitting in my apartment that night, staring at the termination papers, I felt something shift inside me. The initial shock and rage had crystallized into something colder, more focused. Derek thought he'd crushed me, thought he'd won. He had no idea who he was messing with. My phone rang. Sarah's picture lit up the screen. I'd been too ashamed to call her, too broken to explain how spectacularly I'd self-destructed. But I had to face the music. "Nolan? How did the meeting go today? You sound—" "I got fired." The words came out flat, emotionless. "I hit my boss and got fired." Silence stretched between us, so long I wondered if the call had dropped. Then, "You— what?" I told her everything, about Derek's betrayal, the monitoring, the premeditated plan to fire me, about how he'd manipulated the situation to avoid paying severance, how he'd set me up to look like the villain. When I finished, I waited for her anger, her disappointment, her fear about our future. Instead, she surprised me. "That bastard," she said quietly. "Nolan, you've been miserable there for years. I've watched you come home defeated every night, watched him grind you down. Maybe this is the universe telling you something." "The universe?" "I just threw away our stability, our wedding fund. Listen to me." Her voice was fierce, protective. "You're the most talented developer I know. You've built things that Derek could never dream of creating. If he wants to play dirty, maybe it's time to show him what dirty really looks like." That's when it hit me. Derek had made a critical error. In his arrogance, he'd forgotten one crucial detail. I knew everything about TechFlow's systems. I'd built half of them, debugged the other half. I knew about the security vulnerabilities Derek refused to fix, the corner-cutting on client projects, the falsified timesheets. I knew where the bodies were buried because I'd been forced to help bury them. Over the next 2 days, I didn't wallow. I strategized. I documented everything I could remember. Every ethical violation, every instance of Derek taking credit for subordinates' work, every toxic incident I'd witnessed. But I needed more than just my word. I needed proof. That's when I remembered Janet from IT. Sweet, quiet Janet, who'd always been kind to me, who'd complained privately about Derek's treatment of female employees. Janet, who had access to email servers and backup systems. I called her Wednesday evening. "Janet, it's Nolan. I need to meet you. It's important." We met at a coffee shop downtown. When I explained what Derek had done, her face darkened. "He's been monitoring employees' social media? Without consent, without disclosure. It's probably illegal, definitely unethical." Janet leaned forward, her usually soft voice sharp with anger. "Nolan, there's something you need to know. Derek didn't just fire you. He sent an email to our entire client list, bad-mouthing you, claiming you'd been stealing proprietary code to sell to competitors. He's trying to ruin your reputation in the entire industry." My blood turned to ice. The slap had been impulse, but this was calculated destruction. Derek wasn't just firing me. He was trying to end my career entirely. "I have something that might interest you," Janet continued, glancing around nervously. "Derek's been forwarding your personal emails to his account. Emails from recruiters, salary negotiations with other companies. All of it. I found the forwarding rule by accident last month." It was worse than I'd thought. Derek hadn't just been monitoring my LinkedIn, he'd been reading my private correspondence for months. Every job inquiry, every recruiter who'd reached out, every opportunity I'd carefully explored, he'd known about all of it. But Janet wasn't done. There's more. Remember the Harrison Industries contract you worked on last year? The one Derek presented to the board as his own innovation? I have the original timestamps on those code commits. Your fingerprints are all over the breakthrough algorithm, not his. A plan began forming in my mind, not just for revenge, but for justice. Derek had declared war the moment he decided to destroy my reputation. But he'd picked the wrong enemy. Janet, I need you to help me collect evidence, everything you can access legally through your IT role. And I need you to document how Derek's been monitoring employees. Can you do that? She nodded, her eyes gleaming with righteous anger. Derek Thompson has been a cancer in this company for too long. It's time for surgery. That evening, I did something Derek would never expect. I called Neuralink's CTO directly. Mr. Rodriguez, this is Nolan Miller. We interviewed last Friday. Yes, about the senior developer position. I need to inform you that my former employer has been spreading false information about me stealing proprietary code. No, sir, I haven't stolen anything. In fact, I have evidence that my former boss has been engaging in illegal surveillance of employees and taking credit for their work. By Thursday night, I had a strategy that would expose Derek's corruption while clearing my name and securing my future. The best part? He'd never see it coming. Derek thought he was playing chess while I was playing checkers. He was about to learn the difference. Friday morning, I put my plan into motion. And Derek Thompson's career was about to end with the same brutal efficiency he'd used to try to destroy mine. Friday, 9 a.m. I walked into TechFlow's lobby wearing my best suit, carrying a briefcase that held the evidence to end Derek's career. The security guards recognized me. Word of my assault had spread through the building like wildfire. But they didn't stop me. They couldn't. I wasn't an employee anymore. I was a visitor with an appointment. I'm here to see CEO Michael Patterson, I told the receptionist. He's expecting me. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like ascending to face my destiny. I'd spent all night rehearsing this moment, but my hands still trembled as I knocked on Patterson's door. Come in, Nolan. Sit down. Michael Patterson was nothing like Derek. Calm, intelligent, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. On his desk sat a familiar folder, my personnel file. I understand Derek terminated you this week, Patterson began. He's filed a report claiming you assaulted him during a disciplinary meeting about corporate espionage. Mr. Patterson, with respect, Derek Thompson has been lying to you for years. His eyebrows raised slightly. That's a serious accusation. I opened my briefcase and pulled out the first document. This is proof that Derek has been illegally monitoring employees' personal email accounts and social media without consent or disclosure. I slid Janet's report across the desk. He's been forwarding personal emails from recruiters to his own account for at least 6 months. Patterson's expression didn't change, but I saw his fingers tighten on the papers. This, I continued, placing another folder on the desk, is documentation showing that Derek has systematically taken credit for his subordinates' work, most notably the Harrison Industries algorithm that secured our biggest contract last year. The original code, commits, and timestamps prove I developed that innovation, not Derek. Now Patterson leaned forward, interested. And this, I said, pulling out my phone, is a recording of Derek admitting he'd been looking for an excuse to fire me for weeks, despite my stellar performance reviews. He used my job interview, conducted on my scheduled day off, as justification to terminate me without severance pay. Patterson studied the documents for what felt like hours. Finally, he looked up. Nolan, Why are you bringing this to me instead of filing a lawsuit? Because, sir, Derek didn't just ruin my career. According to my contact at Neuralink, he's been calling competitors all week, spreading lies about me stealing proprietary code. He's trying to blacklist me from the entire industry. I leaned forward. I want my reputation cleared, and I want Derek held accountable for what he's done to me and other employees. Patterson's intercom buzzed. Mr. Patterson, Derek Thompson is here for his 10 a.m. meeting. A cold smile played at the corners of Patterson's mouth. Send him in, and ask HR Director Williams to join us. Derek walked through the door like he owned the place, his confident smirk faltering when he saw me sitting there. Michael, what's he doing here? I told you, he assaulted me. He should be in jail. Sit down, Derek. Derek remained standing, his face reddening. I won't sit in the same room as this traitor. He tried to sell our secrets to... Sit down. The authority in Patterson's voice made Derek comply instantly. The CEO slid the evidence across to Derek, whose face went white as he recognized the documents. Derek, did you or did you not forward employee emails to your personal account without authorization? I was protecting company interests. Did you or did you not take credit for Nolan's work on the Harrison project? Derek's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Those contributions were... It was collaborative. According to these timestamps, Nolan wrote 89% of the algorithm. Your contributions consisted of changing variable names. Patterson's voice was ice. Derek, did you or did you not contact Neuralink Industries and Actech Solutions this week, claiming Nolan had stolen proprietary code? He was going to. He was interviewing with competitors. On his day off, which is his legal right? Patterson stood up. Derek, you're terminated immediately. Security will escort you out. Derek exploded. You can't do this. I've been with this company for 8 years. I built this department. You nearly destroyed it. And Derek? I've already contacted the companies you defamed Nolan to. They've been informed of your false statements. Expect legal papers by Monday. Derek lunged from his chair, pointing an accusing finger at me. This is all your fault. You backstabbing piece of... He never finished the sentence. In his rage, Derek swung a wild punch at me. But this time, I was ready. I caught his wrist mid-swing and, with one smooth motion, flipped him onto his back on Patterson's conference table. The entire surface shook, sending papers flying. That, I said calmly, standing over Derek's stunned form, is what an actual assault looks like. Security arrived within seconds. As they hauled Derek away, he screamed threats and curses that echoed through the executive floor. I'd never seen a more pathetic sight, this man who'd tormented me for years, reduced to a ranting, powerless fool. Impressive, Patterson said, straightening his tie. Marine Corps, MMA classes, and a lot of built-up frustration. 3 hours later, I walked out of TechFlow with a formal apology, a recommendation letter, and Patterson's personal assurance that Derek would face criminal charges for illegal surveillance. But the best was yet to come. Tuesday morning, my phone rang. Neuralink's CTO, Roberto Rodriguez, was calling personally. Nolan, I wanted to update you on your application. After speaking with Michael Patterson and reviewing the evidence you provided about your former manager's defamation, our board has made a decision. My heart pounded. Yes, sir? We're offering you the senior development position with a starting salary of $180,000, 40% above your former salary, plus equity options, full benefits, and a signing bonus to compensate for the harassment you endured. I nearly dropped the phone. Yes, absolutely. Excellent. Oh, and Nolan? We've been planning to recruit you for months. Your GitHub projects caught our attention last year. Derek's little smear campaign just forced us to accelerate our timeline. 6 months later, I'm living a life I never thought possible. Neuralink isn't just a job, it's a calling. I'm working on AI development that could revolutionize healthcare, contributing to projects that matter. My team respects my ideas, values my input, and actually implements my suggestions. Derek? His career imploded spectacularly. Not only was he fired from TechFlow, but word of his illegal surveillance spread through the industry. No respectable company in the city will hire him. Last I heard, he was working tech support at a call center. A fitting end for someone who spent his career undermining others. The slap that got me fired turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. Sometimes the universe doesn't just close doors, it dynamites walls you didn't even know were holding you back. Sarah and I got married last month. At the reception, I gave a toast about taking chances, about how sometimes losing everything is the only way to find what you're really worth. If you're reading this and stuck in a toxic job with a tyrant for a boss, remember my story. Document everything, build your network, and never let anyone convince you that their limitation is your ceiling. Because when they try to destroy you for reaching higher, that's usually the universe's way of saying it's time to soar. Derek thought he fired me. In reality, he set me free. And sometimes, the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming everything they said you'd never be.